Yes. Now I am super happy to have five of my students uh, that had either got the startup week that I organized or been through the high school program, high school entrepreneurship program that we are launching. That's actually Sage with us. I really like when I have two people, the ages of two people over here does not even sum up to mine. So I'm really happy. Maybe the three of you, no, three of you exceed mine. So yeah, the three of you exceed mine, which is good. Um, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to introduce yourselves. You can talk about what you like, where do you study, why do you like entrepreneurship, anything about entrepreneurship. So I'll start with Lerzan because on my screen it's like Lerzan, İlke, Melikşah, Gülşen, Erim, Gülsen, Erim, and so we'll move from that one. So let's go.
Okay. First of all, I'm Nerzan, and I'm 11th grade in Anabilim High School. I like actually all the subjects, I think. Yeah, all of them, but also I like dancing. So
Nice. But why do you like entrepreneurship? Why is entrepreneurship important for you?
I think because it creates some solutions to the world's problems, and I'm gonna be involved in them too, so it matters.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. Nice. İlke.
My name is İlke. I'm in 10th grade in the same school as Lerzan is. And I want to become a neuroscientist. And in addition to that, I love entrepreneurship because there is always change, and I just love change. It's spontaneous, and we get to create something meaningful. So I love it because of that.
Like being part of creation is always important. Nice,
Yeah.
good. And I'm sure you'll do great in neuroscience. Melikşah.
Hello everyone, my name is Melikşah. I am generally interested in development and software things, and I like entrepreneurship because I think it has very good relationship with software engineering, and there is a good opportunity in that era.
Nice. So you had been part of Startup Weeks twice, at least, as far as I know, and you're part of lots
Yes.
of hackathons and everything. Why do you think learning software, learning coding is important?
For entrepreneurship.
In general, but specifically for entrepreneurship.
I think generally lot of people are generally using in their phones for 6 hours or 8 hours in US. So I think it is important for us to make an application or something about software for selling our products.
So you're very pragmatic about things. You'll do great. Well done. Thank you, brother. You saw them. Nice earrings, or did you paint your hair?
I dyed my hair.
You dyed your hair. Okay, I thought they were earrings. It looks like the school is about to get opened again, and I don't know how you're going to get into the school.
I'm not planning on going to school. I would get dress
Okay.
code otherwise.
Nice.
I'm also a 10th grade student at Anabilim, and I think I've always been like a big language nerd. So you could say my favorite subject is Turkish, English, any other language that we're learning, also literature. And I think our entrepreneurship lessons are very important because I always feel like I have kind of went through this like enlightenment after our lessons. Yeah.
Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur when you graduate from high school? When do you think you will? Because you will say, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur. When will that happen?
I think at one point in my life, I will definitely be saying that, like as a job, as an occupation. Yes, I am an entrepreneur, but I think to be able to claim that title, you need to work really hard. And I'm also really young, obviously, right now. But I think we all do some stuff that resembles an entrepreneur in our daily lives.
Yeah, that's part of growing up. You always have to be entrepreneurial in doing many things. And yeah, I think all of you at one point in your careers, you'll say, you know what? I think I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Let me build this thing, and that is going to happen. And even for Erim, that's going to happen. You're muted. Oh, right. Good job.
I am Erim. I am also 10th grade in Anabilim school. My favorite subject is probably sports, play football. I am going to study architecture, but I probably won't be an architect because
Why are you going to study architecture if you're not going to be an architect?
yeah, because I think I can't achieve anything. I love architecture, but I don't want to be architect. Entrepreneurship maybe help me about to find my way.
Okay, so as soon as it's Monday, I will talk to your parents and tell them, don't ever send this kid to architecture school. Send him somewhere else. Don't even send him to school. Let him work. Let him study. No college degree for you, my friend. I think that will teach you a lesson. Anyways, I'm kidding. Yeah, there are a lot of people. Almost all of my friends who graduated from like business administration, economics, political science, public policy, and many other degrees, decided not to pursue them, and quite early in their careers. I think I even had a few friends who were doctors who are no longer practicing, a few architecture graduates who are no longer doing architecture. But I think you should find, for all of you, for all the youngsters who are listening to us, find something that you are already curious about. Even if you don't want to become an architect, even if you don't want to become, well, medicine is something different. You could be curious about medicine, but if you don't want to practice it, just don't do it. But I think other than that, whatever kind of ticks your brains, go for it. That is going to be very important. And I mean, I know we discussed a few of the questions. Like, do you remember anything from earlier childhood? Maybe something your parents gave you to read. Maybe it's a movie that you liked. I don't think people can get inspired by listening to songs about entrepreneurship. I think there's many songs about entrepreneurship. It's all about love and gooey stuff. But do you remember anything that had played a role in your understanding, on your interest about entrepreneurship?
Well, I don't have a memory, but let's say my mother's support and my father's criticism, and actually his support too, to be honest. I mean, in life, he always tried to make me be myself in a way. And I mean, that really affected me. Especially my father's criticism made me think differently or from other perspectives, which made me more interested in entrepreneurship, to be honest. And he is also interested in it. So that really affected me.
All right, but none of them are entrepreneurs themselves, right?
Not exactly. My father had some kind of projects, but he didn't really achieve them.
Okay. I think Adam wants to say something.
Mine was very different. When I was a kid, my father took me to his customers and showed me to speak with them, how to speak with them, and maybe that made me interested in entrepreneurship.
Okay. Those days are important. Like, take your daughter, take your son to work days. Could have lasting impacts, which is great. Darzan, I think even standing in the room, you should be curious about reading everything and listening everything, right?
Yeah, it's Dreams Academy, so right in here.
Nice.
I actually have a memory. in my early ages, my dad gave me a coupon from AliExpress and tell me that I can do everything I want with that coupon, but it's the only thing that I have. So either I can buy something for myself, or I can think and buy something, little things to sell. And actually, I
Nice.
like the selling part. So I started to shipping something from China or other countries, and then I started selling these to family members. It really get paid well, so I continued doing it.
Nice.
And I expanded my customers. I started to sell to my father's customers or colleagues. So it felt really great.
Nice.
And actually, it was my first entrepreneurship experience, I think.
Nice. And then your father stopped giving you coupons because now you're making more money than he does.
Yeah. Yeah, then the
That is
business
always a good
stopped.
place to
So
start.
that's it.
Yeah, that's always a good way to start. Nice. You said I know you are already in one of YouTube's youngest createpreneurs. We call them a creative industrykpreneurs. Tell me how that thing started.
It was at first from acting, because after I started doing acting and on like Güdü Güdü, a lot of people started like finding my social media and started asking me questions like, how can I become an actor, or how do you I don't know, apply for a job or stuff like that, especially in a child actor's perspective. So I wanted to share my experiences with people. That's why I just, started a YouTube channel and started talking to people. My entrepreneurship related memory from my childhood is, I think, my dad used to tell me some like stories about cars and car companies. He's a big car guy, you could say. He knows a lot about cars, and the founder of Honda, I think, wasn't even taken
Yeah.
seriously at
Yeah,
first
of
because
course.
of the like electric bike idea. It
Yeah.
sounds hilarious,
Super.
but now they're one of the biggest motorcycle companies, and I think that's a big inspiration, that like we can borrow inspiration from that story, because yeah, they're one of the biggest companies, and we should not see. I think I'm not saying we should take every single advice they give us, but
Of course.
they're unbelievably successful today, but they weren't at some point. So I think that's a big thing.
That is cool. And I think, Minisha, when you were a little baby, your mother and father were reading you in code. So you came up with C++ knowledge already.
No, actually. I love reading books, and my favorite genre is biography. So I was every time I was reading some books about some important people like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or maybe Jeff Bezos, I see that every of them was in general an entrepreneur. And when I had a chance to try the things that they done theoretically with a minimal process, I was very excited, and I think all of the events that I attended was a great experience for me.
So did any of your parents gave you your first Python book or C++ book? I don't know most of the languages. I'm not an engineer on that side. So how
I
did
generally study Swift.
react to your interest?
They of course try to support me, but because of university time, I can't study so much in these times. But especially 2 years later in summer, I studied a lot of Swift, and of course, it's a good investment for myself.
It is a good investment. And I mean, we discussed this in class some of the times, but you are studying in a private high school who is visionary enough to organize startup weeks for high schoolers, have an entrepreneurship class for a full semester, not even for like a couple of weeks, a full semester for you to understand what entrepreneurship and innovation is. And when you compare that to your other friends who are not in your school, and when you talk about, oh, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, I'm coding for entrepreneurship, I'm going to be a neuroscientist, but at one day I'll be an entrepreneur, and I'll study architecture, but I'll probably create my own firm. When you share your dreams and ideas about future that involves entrepreneurship, what is the reaction of your peers? How do they respond to you? Do they say, "Well, what the heck? You have studies to do? What are your grades looking like? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Entrepreneurship risky." So, do you receive any positive feedback or any negative feedback? What's your experience like? Yeah, any one of you can take it.
To be honest, they're cool about it. I mean, like they find it cool, and they know me, so they know that I can do this, or at least I'm gonna try it. They know that I'm gonna do it eventually, so they don't really give any negative response. But like, for example, some friends might be a bit more skeptical about this. I don't know, like they might find it too risky or unnecessary, maybe. But in general, they support it. To be honest.
Nice. That you surrounded yourself with good people. That's a pretty good achievement. Gusa, I think your friends are already saying, "Oh, you already are a famous star. Why do you not want to be an entrepreneur? You just keep going and become an actor. You do whatever you want." What are their reactions?
Usually people are like, wow, that's so cool that you have that kind of lesson. I wish I did. And it's right. But if someone wants to say to me like, no, it's unnecessary, or are you gonna start coding? Because I was never really into that whole technological side of things. Like I know technology, I know about it, but it was never my main source of, like it's not the thing I'm aiming for. But I would say that they were kind of detached from reality. In today's world, it's so necessary to know at least some skills regarding like knowing when to take a risk or when to take what type of risk. Like those are the things we're studying for, we're having these lessons for. So if someone were to say it was too risky or unnecessarily, hard, all of the jobs are very hard, and yes, you need to work maybe 2 times more than you would normally do, but I think it pays off at some point.
I think learning is the most critical piece in the whole entrepreneurship, teaching and learning. Experience from firsthand will give you a huge advantage. Maybe not in the first couple of years, but maybe in the other things that you'll be doing. And the acceptance rate, increasing your acceptance to failure is really important at very early ages. But Aiden, like when you think about entrepreneurship, failure comes to mind a lot. Are you not afraid of failure?
I don't afraid because the failure, the most CEOs or people, the most CEOs
Successful
think
people.
successful. The most successful people thinks that failure is a good thing to help what you don't do or what you can't understand.
So you learn from failure, and a lot of people support young people's trials because if you don't fail, you actually don't learn too much. It's not embedded in school, and I know Larzan, you're a really good student at school. How do you balance this propensity to failure? Like, oh, I can do something that I can fail, but I should not be afraid, versus I have to really have good grades. Otherwise, why am I alive? Why am I working? I have to be the first.
It's
I know
not
you
like
don't.
that.
I know. I'm just exaggerating to make a point.
Yeah, it's not like that, but it's kind of similar to that because I love to be successful, but I also know that one of the steps to be successful is being unsuccessful and fail. So I learned it from the startup weekends or kind of all kind of entrepreneurship programs. So that helps me to study my lessons too. Yeah, if I can't solve the test right now, I can. It's okay. I can do it later, but I gotta study for it, and then not fail in the exam. That's the main point, and that's the same. I think that's the same as in the entrepreneurship too.
So, what are you most afraid of? Haha.
I'm not sure. Like, it's definitely not failing, but sometimes I have bad dreams about not great grades. So even if
Go
not
on.
failing, it could be bad grades too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wish I was your age and I only worry about my grades, which would have been really nice. So I was like, and by the way, I now realize Manisha and I look a lot similar. I mean, if I was wearing a similar shirt to Manisha, we would look pretty same. I hope you have more hair than I do when you grow up. But what do you, especially seeing and reading about all these biographies of people and learning that they didn't have always a good life, they didn't have success immediately. How do you prepare yourself for long-term misery? Like the founders of PayPal suffered through a lot. They had to code for 72 hours to make the first payment through PayPal work. And it's super freaking hard work. So how do you prepare yourself for that?
I think risk taking is generally good for entrepreneurs because I think the important thing is to not to decide, but the time for deciding. If we decide, if we have a time for thinking well, we can decide for the right thing. I think because, for example, Elon Musk is now trying to do his Starship mission perfect, and 2 months ago, his rocket just bumped, and he tweeted that I was looking for important data. It doesn't matter for me to destruction of the rocket. Thanks, guys. And he just congratulated his team. I think it depends on the perspective of the executives.
Well, I hope you don't need to blow up rockets to learn and get some data. But I think the point is pretty clear that entrepreneurs have a huge propensity or acceptance rate for failure, and they are pretty stubborn. And sometimes, and maybe this is a curved ball to some of you, most of the super successful entrepreneurs have really difficulty in balancing life, balancing social life, balancing family life. And I don't think when you ask to the founders' children, I'm not really sure they'll be very happy and say, well, I think my mom is a great entrepreneur, but she is not taking good care of me. Or my dad is great, but I only see him 2 hours per week. Doesn't this scare you?
Well, it's too early for me to decide some things, but
Oh, yeah, I hope it's early. Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm too busy, if I have too much to do in my life. Why would I even make a child?
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, a lot of people make it and then think about it. I think they should think about it and then jump
Yes.
into it. I think I'm somewhere in between. I kind of halfway started thinking about it. That's why I came back to Turkey and to spend more time with my daughter. I hope she doesn't just blow into my face when she's older. She's currently working upstairs. But like, you're taking a huge risk with balancing life, balancing family, playing sports. Maybe you're not going to see a football for a couple of months when you start building your company. And also this is something you are accustomed to. Like, you need to do a lot of schoolwork and you need to also have a social life. So does this duality in life help you? Do you think in your future to balance, okay, I have work to do, but I also have a social life. I want to do this. I want to have a family, or I want to do this. how do you see you being able to manage your social life with school and entrepreneurial thinking with school? Is it easy? Is it difficult?
Well, in the pandemic, it is really hard. Well, actually, it seems as if it would be easier because we can just, open a Zoom or just chat through WhatsApp, Discord, but it's not like that. I
Yeah.
mean, when we were at school, we would see each other every day. We would talk every day, or at least, and we would meet at least once a month or once a week. And now it's
Tough.
different, so it's really hard to balance things. But in general, actually, this difficulty makes it fun in a way because I don't know. I like dealing with problems. Of course, unless it is too overwhelming. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't this difficult, it would be a bit boring, I think.
Yeah, I tend to think the same. And you say I think you're also having a hard time finding time to shoot videos, study, and then do work. And then a guy named Ozan asks you to do a lot of homework for their entrepreneurship course. How do you balance all that?
Time management is, I think, the thing that haunts me down in life in general. Like, it's the thing that I struggle with the most. Even now, I knew that this was going to start at 9, and I was walking my dog. I forgot the concept of time existed and just started walking and walking and walking, and we just walked for like an hour, and I almost forget about this, even though I knew that it was coming for like a week, 2 weeks prior, and I was so excited for it, but I just forgot because it sometimes happens, life happens. But
Yes, when you're 16, this happens. No worries.
I agree with Ilke, because in the pandemic, I thought for myself, like, the first 2 weeks of school were gonna, get canceled. I was so sure of myself that I was gonna start reading more, watching more movies, watching more stuff, writing stuff, and none of that really happened. They happened, but in like a very long period of time. So I think when you don't forget to take time for yourself, and when you don't forget to look at your planner, if you have one, looking at your Google Calendar, if you use it, then it's not that hard to find time for things. You just need to really play
Be
around
organized.
with the tools. Yes.
And I think the pandemic helped everyone, not just high school students or anybody who was actually have to get stuck at home and do thinking work. We don't do manual work anymore. Not all of us do manual work. So I think especially when you're doing brain work, spending neurons, and need to feed yourself well, need to be healthy and happy, and it's really difficult. And Meliksha, how many applications have you developed in the pandemic when your parents were not looking?
I think in the 10th grade, I mean the last summer, it was more productive time for me, but especially after the summer time and when the school started again, it was really hard for me to study again because of the, how can I say, the
Regulations, limitations.
Yes, reputations of the classes, and I think it requires a lot of effort to be able to study all of the lessons at the same day or at the same week. But I'm trying to balance it. Sometimes I wake up at 6 a.m. Sometimes I wake up at 8 a.m. But I think I will find the balance for my routine.
Nice. Well, do whatever you guys, but like try to get used to sleeping less. That will be probably my biggest advice. I still suck at that, but sleeping less is a good quality, and it's a good call. I mean, I don't say good quality, but functioning with less sleep than other people gives you an advantage. Let me put it that way. Irim, and how are you coping with the pandemic? The education part, the social part. I don't think you were able to play any soccer anymore, or maybe you are in like distance wise.
The neighbor of mine doesn't accept me to play because
Yeah.
of the noise. So
You should change homes. You should tell your parents, find me a good neighbor so I can play ball.
I said that, then
It didn't work. Maybe after this complaint on YouTube, your parents will say, okay, now we're going to have to find something to do with this kid. All right. Like again, how do you balance the work, the entrepreneurship stuff,
I tried
reading?
to I tried to do it, but probably and certainly not good at it. But if
Yet,
I
let's say it.
yet, but if I can't dealing with now, I can't be an entrepreneur in future.
I
This is
agree.
easy than entrepreneurs dealing with balance
Uh,
or family.
yeah, it is definitely easier. You only have school, you get good grades, you get bad grades. Doesn't really affect your life that much.
Yes.
Probably Larzan doesn't. Yeah, see, Larzan doesn't agree with me. But so, how do you balance like learning and social life in the pandemic? Did the change in education system going online almost instantaneously, did it impacted you positively, or what were the positive sides and what were the negative sides on the education change?
Sometimes it affect me positively because we have a lot more time than we used to, because we don't like go on the bus and
Travel.
travel for hour and then hour back to home. So we gain at least 2 hours a day. So it was a great thing to study and balance the social life. But nowadays it kind of get boring. So I really
Yeah,
like
I agree.
to be in the school. So I don't care about the time lapse in now. But
I can spend 2 hours on the road. Let me give you my friends. Huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's really difficult.
in reality, I'm not a really. Um, I don't like hanging out with friends actually, but this pandemic really changed me a lot. Yeah, now I'm looking forward to Monday.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be 2 weeks of school, right? If
Yeah,
you
but
choose to
it's
go,
enough to see my friends
I
for
agree.
four
I agree.
days.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, to be honest, if this thing happened while I was a student, we would have gone completely nuts. Like, remember, we didn't have any phones. We only had telephones. Like, you literally had to rotate. Um, no emails. I mean, I had ICQ, which you probably have never heard of, back in '96. So if this had happened before ICQ, before '96 and dial-up internet, we would have been dead. Seriously, nobody will be able to keep us in the streets, keep us off the streets, because like we didn't have anything else to do. We'll just run out. Nobody could catch us. But now at least we could. I was able to lock my daughter in and say, okay, you have 2 hours of limits. I can increase it to 3 hours of online. Do whatever you want. But other than that, it's really difficult. And we're extending the session just because a good friend of mine that I work with as well, Zafar, who's the founder of Otsimo, a really cool app to teach kids with different spectrums of autism. He may have just caught COVID, so he's in the hospital. My sincere wishes for his fast recovery. He's young; he'll recover even if he has it. So we still have a few more minutes, and maybe we can use that few minutes. And if you don't have any questions, let me see if we have any questions.
I think we all prepared some like a specific topic about like what we would wish everybody knew.
Yes, exactly. That could be the pretty much the last thing that we could go over. What do you really wish kids? I mean, youngsters. I know you hate the word kids, but people that are younger would really could really benefit from. What would your advice be? And you can take in any tone you want.
Knowledge, basic knowledge, not basic, but the world's the world's uh, the the world's biggest companies how to work and what they do in pandemic or without pandemic.
I agree. I agree.
Knowledge.
Yeah, you have to, and this is really important for all of you. I mean, you are born at Google. Everything you're doing is Googleable. It will be really rare for you to have any information that people will not be able to find about you. I mean, when we train entrepreneurs that are older than you, we ask them, tell us one thing that's not Googleable about you. And that always creates a nice discussion. But with your age, I don't think that will be ever possible. Like everything will be available. But that also gives you the responsibility to learn more, to read more, to investigate more, and for yourself. So that's a pretty good one. Who else? Who's
Yeah, I'm gonna add to all of the things you all said. Well, if you're curious about something, search it. If you want to attend to something, go for it. If you want to do something, do it. Because because you might not be able to do it after that time, or you might just maybe even forget about it. And when the time of that passes, you're probably gonna regret it. It might be hard at first, but eventually you get used to it, and it becomes fun and pretty useful. For example, actually, especially in the pandemic, I attended to so many things, and even though I didn't really earn a reward, like an award or something, I always, learned new things, meet with different people, and it's just a really great feeling. And it doesn't even need to be about entrepreneurship. Maybe it's just like a Discord server for people to talk, or
Exactly.
maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just following an Instagram page that, I don't know, posts about something that you're interested in. It's always a good. Uh, experience. Yeah, experience. For example, I recently, well, 2 weeks ago, I joined a Discord server just to talk about something, uh, and now I mean it's really refreshing. Uh,
Yep.
I find that I'm happier about myself too. I'm socializing with people, and it just making me happy. If I hadn't took that chance, I might have forget about it, and now I wouldn't be this happy probably.
Yeah. But taking the advantage of being young, and having a youthful mind. A lot of people ask me when they meet me and I tell them I have a 12-year-old daughter, they go like, hey, wait a second, how old are you? I was like, I'm 42. They're like, how come you're 42? It's like, I always work with people younger than me. I don't like suck the life out of them. Like the what was the fairy tale in Disney? There's a bad prince, bad queen, Snow White. I think that's Snow White, right? So I don't like drink the blood of young people. I just want to learn new things, and I think what keeps me up to speed with a lot of things is curiosity. So I 100% agree, 110% agree on that one. Thank you. Larzan, Gülse, Meksha, what about you guys? And I drink a lot of water.
I have actually two main topics that I wanted to talk about. The first one is I'm so quick to lose interest in stuff when I get past the surface level knowledge in a topic that I'm interested about.
Hello, millennial.
Yeah. And I think that's why, being an entrepreneur is a great career path for people like me, because otherwise I get bored so easily when I learn something past the surface level, as I've said. So I think that's a great career choice. And also because when you try to learn something, I don't think I will ever be able to choose a subject and then be like, yes, this is the occupation I want to have for the next 35, 40 years. That's what is expected of us, and I think that's impossible for any normal human being to be like, yeah, I want to do that for 40 years and I want to work that job. So yeah, I think being some type of entrepreneur where like the change in itself is in the job, like that's what you have to do. So that's a main theme that's in my mind. And also I would like everybody to know that being an entrepreneur it doesn't have to mean trying to become rich, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about that. And almost everybody says, like, when they are asked, yes, I would like to be rich, but I don't like the idea of everything being about money. Like, of course it's important, but I think to some point, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's obviously a lot of stuff is about money. It needs to be. But past that point, I think it's when you have enough money to not really care about money, I think that's the goal. Like when you can have your sun panels, I think that's what they're called, in the roof of your house. Yes. So like it's more sustainable in that way. That's also what the stuff is, what it's important, I think. The example that I want to give is acknowledging the fact that Elon Musk is successful or Jeff Bezos is successful doesn't mean that we should see them as role models or people to look up to, because I think learning about ethics and morals is just as important, if not more, than learning about finance management in entrepreneurship or technology, or like the more stereotypical stuff that people think of when they think of entrepreneurship. So I think it's all very important.
All right. So good points. And we touch upon this in our lectures, especially at the very early beginning of the semesters. One of the misconceptions, as you said, when I talk to young people is like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur like X, Y, Z because they're super rich. And I was like, well, there are like a ton more people who tried it and are not rich and now working for other people. Or they just failed miserably and they lost a lot of things that they care about. Plus, the other side of the coin is always social entrepreneurship, impact entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship by itself is not just about building money-based businesses or money-making businesses, but it's fundamentally building impact-based businesses. You can have an impact in business, you can have an impact in social or environment or anything else you care about. That's the part of entrepreneurial thinking, which is, I think, is pretty important. It's more important than the entrepreneurship side of things. Like the thinking like an entrepreneur and building value, building impact is really critical. So thank you so much for that. So who is going to be the last? Do you want to say something, Melisha, first, and then we finish off with Larzan? No, you want to be the last one. Okay, Larzan, go ahead.
It doesn't matter, so I can talk. My advice for the younger entrepreneurs could be try to solve some problems. Actually, first try to find some problems and then try to solve them. It doesn't need to be some big problems or etc. It doesn't need to be a math problem. It's just gonna be a problem because with that thing you develop something called problem solving, and this really helped me with my entrepreneurship way. I think I couldn't find the word, but yeah, I was lucky. I started this with my school in 5th grade, I think 4th or 5th grade. They forced us to join some of these TÜBİTAK's project competitions.
Yeah.
And at first I refused to join them because I couldn't find problems, so I couldn't solve them. Then 1, 2, or maybe 3 more. So after them, I started to think about problems, and I started to see something that making problem around me. And while I see that, I can fix that. So this make me a young entrepreneur. So try to gain the problem solving skill, actually.
I mean, yesterday we were talking about the 21st century skill sets that are needed for employability to increase your chances to become entrepreneurs. And one of them is definitely problem solving, communication, problem solving, and continuous learning, never stopping learning, and not get stuck for 30, 40 years doing one thing is a key to your success in any career, not just in entrepreneurship. So that's a pretty good one. Milisha, let's finish this. What's your advice to people who have just watched this video or who are thinking about, hey, wait a second, my school doesn't have any entrepreneurship curriculum. Where can I learn about this stuff? Why should I care about this stuff? What's your advice to them?
As you talked, everything actually we learned from the classes are available in Google or actually in the internet, and so I think they need to try it because there is so many advantages in that
Journey.
area, journey. But I think everyone doesn't have to be successful, but I think the trying process is so entertaining, and I think it is definitely worth the time.
I completely agree. That's why one of the things that I have been spending my time in the pandemic is to create another startup called The Sage, which is the Students Academy for Global Entrepreneurship. And you guys will probably have the first experience in a couple of weeks. So I keep delaying the launch. But as an entrepreneur, I have to have sufficient confidence that I actually build something of value before I put it to people. It's really hard to work on a topic so long, and when it hits the hands of the people that you really want to impact, you become very vulnerable. And I think even at this age, you guys have been super courageous to go on a live global Techstars Startup Week. I'm very happy and thankful for your participation. Please send my regards to your parents for whom we got the permissions and privilege to borrow their kids on a school night, and now you're up until 10. Probably you'll be super excited. You're going to want to talk about it for the next 2 hours. But anyways, we have classes on Monday with some of you, so enjoy the rest of the ride. We have a few more weeks. And for those who listen to us, maybe you joined late, we won't be doing the last session because Zafer Alçik, the founder of Otsimo, had to excuse himself from the session for healthcare problems. I hope he is not positive, or even if he is, he recovers as quickly as possible. My name is Ozan, as I said before, the founder of YellowX and Sage, and I'm one of the organizers of Startup Weekend and Startup Week, the next generation. So this last session for the 4th day, and we just say, I just want to include my daughter by bringing her over here, and she's super shy. She's not super shy anyways, but anyways, have a good rest of your night. Thank you so much for watching. The 5th day starts tomorrow at 7:10 with the sessions, but I think we have the quizzes and the fun part started at 6:30. Follow up with the announcements. Follow us on Instagram. Share this, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Live long and prosper.